we're counting down the top teams in college football, number 20 to number 1. And this morning we sit at number 13 with the Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee, we're not going to have a fight song? Not going to have a fight song? All right, well, Tennessee Volunteers normally do the fight song, but what a comeback
You
year.
want to play Rocky Top?
Yeah, we'll get some, because Peyton Manning's now a professor at Tennessee. Don't we have to have, remember when Peyton Manning did the band, did the orchestra, did the conductor of the band?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And now he's going to be back as a professor this year, apparently, at Knoxville, Tennessee. There we go.
Ty just didn't want to play Rocky. He didn't want to play it. It's good.
But you know what? It was good to have the Volunteers back at a relevant level of college football last year. Remember, they beat Alabama. They were one of the surprise teams. Then Hendon Hooker got hurt at the end of the year, and they lost to South Carolina and didn't finish as strongly as you would have thought. But Tennessee aims to get back in that SEC East with Joe Milton, their starting quarterback. Remember, a one-time quarterback at Michigan with Jim Harbaugh, but he has got one of the strongest arms in all of college football. And Josh Heupel, Rod, does seem to be putting some pieces together with that Tennessee program after several failed coaching experiments in Tennessee.
Yeah, got that air raid offense working there at Tennessee, and he's got a lot of talent. They've been recruiting like gangbusters. They
certainly have. And to man who would know more about that, that's why we're going to go to the Vaqueros hotline to get some intel. He is the publisher of VolQuest.com. That's VolQuest.com, the leading authority on Tennessee football, basketball, and recruiting. He is Brent Hubbs. Brent, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Doing great. Thanks for joining us, Brent.
Thanks for doing it. You told me you're going to be on the road making a trip, so we appreciate you. Let me start with this. How's our friend Rick Barnes doing? We loved covering Rick while he was here, and seems to be loving his time at Tennessee.
Yeah, Rick's doing well. He loves East Tennessee, and he's got this program very stable, and obviously he's looking for more wins in March than what he's had so far, but there's no doubt that he's very well liked in Knoxville, and he loves being a part of Tennessee, and this athletic department seems to be in as good a shape as they've been in a long time. And he's been a big reason why. He's a relationship guy that's really pulled everybody together. He's done great things here.
Yeah, and you know the baseball program has been at the top with Coach with what they've done, and obviously football. What is the key to Josh Heupel and what he has done so quickly? It seems like in Knoxville to bring this program back into the place where they're ranked in the top 15.
Well, it's the quarterback play. I mean, it's what Hendon Hooker did in this offense that's been the guy that was the catalyst to make this rebuild go as fast as it's gone. And, you know, in college football and high school football and the NFL, you don't win without good quarterback play. And Hendon Hooker gave Tennessee great quarterback play a year ago. That's why they were able to beat Florida. They were able to beat Alabama. The defense took a nice step from year one to year two, but they still outscored people because of what Hendon Hooker could do. So big shoes to fill with his departure. Joe Milton's got a lot of talent. He's got to go out and prove it week in and week out and play the way – he won't play like Hendon Hooker, but he's got to play consistently winning football because Hooker was really, really dynamic in this offense for Tennessee. He's the reason why they made the jump they made.
Hey, let's talk about the lines of scrimmage because the SEC is a line of scrimmage league. What are your thoughts about the lines of scrimmage for Tennessee this year, offense and defense?
Well, defensively, they bring back a lot of pieces. They lost Byron Young off the edge. They've got to replace pass rushers, so that'll be a key. They've got a couple of young guys they think could be really good pass rushers. They've got to take a step. We'll see where they are in year two. James Pierce is a highly regarded recruit. Played in mop-up duty last year. Joshua Josephs played more snaps off the edge. But those guys have to produce. But they're going to go anywhere from 12 to 14 deep on the defensive front. They will be able to rotate and stay fresh there. So they're in pretty good shape on that side of the ball. Offensively, you're replacing a top 10 draft pick in Darnell Wright, and you're replacing a steady guy at guard in Jerome Carvin, who played basically every snap for you the last 2 or 3 years in this program. So two big shoes to fill there for Tennessee. They've got the bodies at tackle. They won't be as effective as Darnell Wright was, who was just terrific a year ago, but they've got the bodies to be okay, I think, at tackle if they stay healthy. The guard spot's really an unknown at this point in time. And in starting center, Cooper Mays is out right now. He had a little procedure last week. Unclear if he'll be available for the opener, but he should be back before Tennessee goes to Gainesville. And the center position in this offense is a must because he's the one who sets the ball and gets the tempo going. So getting Mays back will be vital for Tennessee before they get to SEC play.
There's also a former Texas Longhorn, Andre Carrick, as a transfer to Tennessee, and he could be a factor on that offensive line for the Tennessee Volunteers. Number 13 in our countdown to number 1. Also a good stable of wide receivers for Joe Milton, led by Brew McCoy, a one-time Longhorn commitment.
Wow.
Brew McCoy and Squirrel White is still there.
Man.
Some breakout candidates at receiver. Well, talk about Joe Milton because, as you know, he's from Florida, but he went to Michigan originally, transferred to Tennessee, and he, really got I think Tennessee fans excited with that performance in the Orange Bowl against Clemson. Threw for 251 yards and 3 touchdowns and a win. He was the MVP of the Orange Bowl. That obviously has Tennessee fans feeling like, hey, he's not Hendon Hooker, but he might be pretty darn good.
Well, and there's a belief that quarterbacks in this system just thrive, and they always have. So, that's part of the confidence that takes place there. Not a lot of national love for Joe Milton right now. Again, I think the biggest thing is, can he go in and do it week in and week out? It's one thing to get ready for a bowl game. You got a month to get ready for it. It's another thing to do it week in and week out. And I think Joe's had a really good fall camp. I think he's thrown the ball the last week or so, not just throwing it, 80 yards or 70 yards or whatever it is, but I'm saying, the intermediate stuff, the underneath stuff that you're looking for. He's thrown the ball really well the last week or so, a lot more touch. He's got a great command of things right now. So there's a lot of excitement around Joe Milton, and rightfully so. He's just still got to go out and prove it week in and week out, which I think he will do. But until you do it, you haven't done it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, for sure.
Great point. And there are some people that believe that the Tennessee schedule this year is a favorable schedule. Do you feel like that? That it's a favorable schedule for Tennessee?
Pitt's not on the schedule this year, and Pitt was a real challenge for Tennessee. They did as good a job as anybody stopping Tennessee's run game and really making them truly one-dimensional and playing a lot of press coverage out there. Josh Heupel's played Pittsburgh 4 times. I think he's 2-2 against them. Pat Narduzzi's had a pretty good answer to what Josh Heupel does. Now, I think UTSA is a pretty good football team.
Yeah, they are.
I'm a little surprised they weren't in the preseason top 25 in the coaching poll. They've got some weapons. That'll be a different challenge for Tennessee. They will be a solid football team. That is not the lay down that a lot of people want to make it out to be. But you take Pitt off the schedule and you put UTSA on there, so we'll see how that goes. Georgia's hard. You got to go to Alabama. You got to go to Florida. You had both those games at home last year, so I don't buy that it's greatly more favorable than it was a year ago. I mean, is it awful? I mean, is it a terrible schedule? I don't know about that, but it's certainly a challenge in this league week in and week out. LSU's off the schedule, which is not a bad thing for Tennessee. So in that regard, it's probably a little bit lighter, but it's still a real challenge for the Vols for sure.
Good stuff with our number 13 team. It's Brent Hubbs. He's the publisher of VolQuest.com, the leading authority on Tennessee football, basketball, and recruiting as well, VolQuest.com. Hey, Brent, Josh Heupel, we obviously covered him when he was an Oklahoma quarterback, very successful Oklahoma quarterback, and big-time competitor. What have you learned from Josh Heupel in a short amount of time? Other than his offense is dynamic and he can coach quarterbacks, what is it that makes him one of the rising stars in coaching?
Well, I think he does a really good job with relationships with his players. I really do. I think he gets to know his players. They're not just a number. The best thing he did when he came here that first year is there was not this Deion Sanders, we're going to get rid of all the people who aren't my guys type deal. He really walked in and embraced everybody and said, hey, I'm your coach. You're my guys. And he really got to know people he didn't recruit and didn't have any knowledge of, prior to, and really embraced those guys. And I think this team needed that, given what they had been through with COVID, with losing Jeremy Pruitt, NCAA investigation looming, all those things. I think he did a great job with the relationship building early on, which is good. The thing I've learned about him, I knew as a college football quarterback who was highly successful at Oklahoma, he was competitive. I don't think I realized how competitive he was. He doesn't forget things. He keeps receipts. He is as competitive will be, whether it's backyard basketball with his kid or whether it's lining up and trying to beat Nick Saban on Saturday. He's one of the most competitive individuals I've ever covered, and that's saying something because we've covered a lot of people, but he is highly, highly competitive. That probably is the biggest surprise to me, just how competitive he is at everything.
Hey, Brent, if Tennessee Volunteers don't meet expectations this year, what will be the reason why?
Probably Joe Milton didn't play well, or they've had injuries. They're not deep enough on the offensive line. A couple of injuries there could plague them really severely. And again, I mean, there's a belief that this offense is going to keep rolling right along because Josh Heupel's won with all types of quarterbacks, right? He's won with guys with great legs, guys not without great legs, tall guys, short guys, guys with great deep ball, guys with not great deep ball. I mean, all kinds of players through the years he has won with at the quarterback position. So there's just an assumption that they're going to be good at quarterback regardless of who's back there. I think that's probably a reach in this league. So we'll see how Joe Milton plays. So if they don't meet expectations, it'll be because of injury in a couple of key areas where they're not very deep, or they didn't get good enough quarterback play.
They'll open their 2023 season with the Virginia Cavaliers and Nashville. There at the Tennessee Titans Stadium. Virginia coming in out of the ACC. That'll be Saturday, September 2nd. Then Austin Peay. Then their first conference game at Gainesville to play Florida before that UTSA contest. Brent, thanks so much. Appreciate the visit and the overview and spotlight on our number 13 team, Tennessee. We'll keep the number and do it again as the season unfolds.
Matt, look forward to it. You guys enjoy your last year in the Big 12, and we'll see you on Rocky Top in a few years here as you hop into the league. So welcome.
No doubt
Thanks,
about
Brent.
that.
Appreciate you, brother.
We're looking forward to getting to Knoxville because I've not been to a game in Knoxville. That is apparently the spot.
And UT versus UT, I think the team that loses in that rivalry, they have to be lowercase t for a whole year.
Oh, I like that.
You can't have the uppercase t. You got to use a lowercase t if you lose that rivalry.
Do you think if Brent Venables has a bad year, that Josh Heupel could find his way back to Oklahoma?
That's another good one. Yes,
trust me.
I believe that.
Yeah,
it's a possibility. That's a strong possibility.
Listen,
actually,
with Hendon Hooker last year, they went 11-2. They led the nation #1 offense, scoring offense, total offense, passing efficiency, total touchdowns.
Is Oklahoma a better job than Tennessee?
Yes.
Yes,
it's considered to be historically. It is, but I mean, like I said, he may decide he wants to stay at Tennessee, but I think if
he's an Oklahoma boy, though.
He's an Oklahoma guy, and that offense, it is considered. And I think this is kind of a shallow, kind of rudimentary way to describe it. An insert quarterback here offense. Like it actually doesn't. He just described it. It actually doesn't necessarily need high level elite quarterback prospects to make that offense tick and to make it function at a high level.
If Joe Milton and they can protect him, he will be an NFL prospect. He's 6'5", he's 244 pounds. He's got probably the strongest arm in college football. And if you saw him play against Clemson, who's no joke on defense, in that Orange Bowl, He's got all the tools. I mean, when he was playing for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, he was just erratic. I mean, the big arm was just he didn't know how to control it. Now, if Heupel's got him under control and this offense moves the ball, he'll hear Joe Milton as an NFL draft pick. He's got all the size and measurables you're looking for.
And I would just, me off the top of my head, just from what I've watched, I would say that Tennessee's offense is more quarterback friendly than the Michigan offense.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, I mean, for sure. And Josh Heupel's a quarterback, so it's going to be built to favor the QB.
And Jim Harbaugh's a quarterback, too, but different type.
Yeah, you're right about that. Jim Harbaugh was a quarterback wanted to punch you in the mouth.
Exactly. He wants to play like a triple option football back in that kind of quarterback.
Joe Milton and the Tennessee Volunteers and our guest Brent Hubbs was awesome. And we'll be talking to him because, when Texas enters the SEC, that's going to be a great brewing rivalry with the baseball,
burnt orange,
the baseball program,
ugly orange. Yeah,
Rick Barnes and the basketball program.
I forgot about that.
And that
Rick Barnes
Tony Vitello has that Tennessee baseball program. When Tennessee plays Texas, that'll be a lot of fun come SEC time, without a doubt, and certainly in football whenever that does happen.